What if I told you GTA 6 is set to be the biggest release in gaming history? No delays, no setbacks, and yeah, a real shot at running at 60 FPS on current-gen consoles. Sounds almost too good to be true, right? But with everything we're seeing from Rockstar's approach to scalability, to Take-Two's latest comments about supporting the Switch 2, it's looking more and more possible. But before we get into that, here's the question of the day. What's the biggest gaming disappointment you've ever had? Was it the game's fault, or were expectations just too high? How much do graphics really matter to you? Would you rather have a visually stunning game locked at 30 frames per second, or a smoother 60 frames per second experience with lower visuals? Are live service games killing single-player experiences, or are they just giving players more options? These are the topics I want to discuss with you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. Your feedback and input are always important for gaming discourse. Whether you agree, disagree, or have a completely different perspective, your voice matters. These discussions shape how we think about gaming, influence future trends, and keep companies accountable. So don't hold back. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week. Alright, so there's a rumor going around that PlayStation is dropping a State of Play next week. Now obviously nothing's confirmed, but I'm gonna assume it's happening and set my expectations accordingly. And honestly, recent State of Plays haven't exactly been mind-blowing. This one's almost a given. It's a sequel to a PlayStation game that people either love or absolutely cannot stand. It's supposed to release this year, and yet for some reason, we didn't see it at Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards, both of which are usually packed with Kojima content. So a State of Play reveal makes a lot of sense. Maybe we'll finally get a release date, or at least a proper window. Ghost of Yotei. If everything is on track, we should also be seeing Ghost of Tsushima's sequel this year. We still haven't seen any gameplay, so if PlayStation is planning to show it off before Summer Game Fest, this is where it would happen. Not sure if we'll get a release date, but at the very least, we should finally see what this game actually looks like. Astrobot DLC. I'm pretty sure Astrobot is getting more post-launch content. The real question is when and what. Unlike the free levels we got pre-Christmas, I have a feeling this next batch will be paid DLC. Not that it'll stop people from rushing to play it the second it drops. Sony's live service games. You already know we're gonna see at least something from Sony's live service lineup. A few projects got scrapped after Concord bombed, so it's kind of unclear what's still alive. Fair Games and Marathon seem to still be in development. And there's also that Horizon co-op game from Guerrilla. Maybe this is where we finally get a proper look at that one. Phantom Blade Zero. S-Game just dropped a new trailer for Phantom Blade Zero a couple of weeks ago for Lunar New Year, and they've confirmed the release date will be announced this year. Does that mean it'll happen at State of Play? Not necessarily, but it's possible. Xbox ports. Mostly thinking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle here. Xbox already said it's coming to PS5 in spring 2025, which isn't that far off. We might get a proper release date at the event. Yeah, no, this is a long shot. Rockstar isn't the type to overshare. They let the hype build naturally. I doubt we'll see anything new until later in the year when the release is closer. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't see it happening. Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. This is probably the first-party Sony game people are most excited for, but it's way too soon. We literally just got a trailer at the Game Awards, so I'd be surprised if we see anything else before next year. Marvel's Wolverine. I don't expect this one either, but I really want to be wrong. We're probably not at the point where we'll see gameplay, but I'd take a cinematic trailer at this point. Just something to build some hype after all those leaks made the game look a little rough. More Kojima stuff. Sony loves Kojima, so I wouldn't be surprised if something pops up. OD, Ficent, maybe an update on that Death Stranding movie that I personally hope Kojima isn't too involved in. I have no idea. So what do you think? Anything here sound likely, or are we setting ourselves up for disappointment again? Alright, so I knew it. Unreal Engine 5 sucks for open-world games. And now we've got more proof. Apparently The Witcher 4 is stuck in development hell because of it. That's coming straight from Daniel Vavra, the director of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, who says UE5 just isn't a good fit for massive open worlds. According to him, a source inside CDPR admitted that they've barely made any progress on the game's open world, even though they switched to Unreal over a year ago. And honestly, it makes sense. CDPR already had Red Engine, which was stable and well optimized, especially after all the work they put into it for Cyberpunk 2077. So why switch? The promise was that Unreal Engine 5 would make things easier, but now it looks like it's doing the exact opposite. Vavra even explained why his own team avoided Unreal for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, choosing CryEngine instead. According to him, UE5 is a nightmare to work with when it comes to large, open-world games. And it's not like he's the only one saying this. Unreal's performance issues are well known. stuttering high system demands weird technical problems. It's all there. So now the question is, how long is The Witcher 4 going to be stuck like this? Will CDPR push through with UE5, or are they going to start second-guessing their decision? Gothic 1 just got revealed. It's a fresh take on a classic that's over 2 decades old, so the devs are walking a tightrope between keeping that old-school charm and updating it for today's gamers. They're bringing back the gritty freedom Gothic was famous for, the kind of game where you could go wherever you wanted, do what you pleased, and face real consequences for your choices. The music's getting an update too. Kai Rosenkrantz's score is returning in a new form, which is a big deal, because his tracks basically defined the atmosphere back in the day. The same goes for the raw, realistic dialogue that made you feel like you were eavesdropping on actual people with all their quirks and arguments. They're also trying to keep the tough but fair combat, so you still have to prove yourself if you want to learn new skills or get better gear. At the same time, they know fans have huge nostalgia for the original's look and feel. The remake aims to modernize the visuals without losing that gritty vibe, or the sense that the world doesn't revolve around you. They got a ton of feedback from a playable teaser, and it sounds like they're using all of it to make something both new and familiar. If you'd rather stick with the old version that's cool, it's still available. But for anyone craving a modern Gothic experience, the devs say they want to honor everything that made the original special. I guess we'll see how well they pull it off, but I'm rooting for them. It's Gothic after all. Have you heard about Destiny 2's big day? The new episode called Heresy just launched, and it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. Servers struggled so much that the game even went offline. On top of that, there's a strike going on, so some voice lines for characters like Shivu Arath and Sloane are missing. Still, there's a ton of excitement for what Heresy brings, especially the new Star Wars crossover with its fancy armor sets and cosmetic items. Let's be honest, part of the fun here is seeing which Destiny 2 classes got matched up with which Star Wars icons. Titans ended up with the Stormtrooper-style armor, and if you think about it, that pairing is hilariously on point. Stormtroopers have a reputation for terrible aim, but Titans often skip shooting altogether and just punch everything in sight. You could say they're not missing shots if they never bother pulling the trigger. Bungie has always leaned into that melee playstyle for Titans, so it's like the set was made for them. Of course, there's more to the collaboration than just Titan gear. Hunters and Warlocks each get their own Star Wars-inspired looks, and there are plenty of other items like emotes and ghost shells if you want to really show off your fandom. The only downside is the price in silver, but it's not too different from what other crossover events have cost in the past. As for the new Heresy content, some players still haven't been able to try it out properly because of the server hiccups. And with Bungie dealing with voice actor strikes, the story might feel a bit off without the usual dialogue. Even so, there's a lot to explore. Fresh weapons, new story bits, and that sweet, sweet Star Wars crossover. It might be a bumpy road, but if you're a Titan with a craving for Stormtrooper swagger, this update is just too good to ignore. Have you heard about the stealth upgrade Helldivers 2 got on the PS5 Pro? Turns out developer Arrowhead didn't exactly trumpet the news, but players in Digital Foundry discovered that the game looks and runs noticeably better on Sony's souped-up console. On the PS5 Pro, Helldivers 2 sees a boost in resolution from 1080p to 1440p in performance mode, along with fewer drops in frame rate when things get really chaotic. Sure, it's not a perfect 60 frames per second all the time, but it's better than what you'll see on a regular PS5, especially on the highest difficulty levels where swarms of enemies fill the screen. Performance mode can still dip here and there, but it mostly stays in a smoother range, which is great if you have VRR enabled. If you prefer the visual bells and whistles, there's a quality mode that hits native 4K. Unfortunately, both modes still rely on a pretty basic anti-aliasing technique, so the overall image can look a bit soft or shimmery. Upgraded tech like FSR2 isn't implemented here, which is a shame. More advanced upscaling would probably sharpen up the action even further. Monster Hunter Wilds Showcase wasn't just a sneak peek at their next big title. It also revealed some key details about the PlayStation 5 Pro's performance capabilities. The studio has confirmed 3 distinct performance modes, letting players fine-tune their experience based on what they value most. First, there's the prioritized resolution mode. This delivers a sharp 3840 by 2160 output with a rendering resolution of 3072 by 1728. It's locked at 30 frames per second and features full ray tracing for those who want the best visuals possible. Next up is the balanced mode. This also outputs at 3840 by 2160, but renders internally at 2496 by 1404. It keeps ray tracing enabled while boosting the frame rate to 40 frames per second, offering a smoother experience without sacrificing too much visual quality. And finally, there's prioritized frame rate. This mode drops the rendering resolution to 1920 by 1080 and disables ray tracing entirely to ensure a smooth 60 frames per second. Each mode offers a different trade-off between resolution frame rate and graphical effects, giving players more control over how they experience Monster Hunter Wilds on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Here's what's going on. The Switch 2 was officially revealed last month, and while we don't have full details yet, people are already wondering if it'll be able to run the biggest games in the industry. And let's be honest, there's no game bigger than GTA 6 right now. Take-Two's CEO Strauss Zelnick spoke about this during a recent earnings call. He didn't confirm GTA 6 for the Switch 2, but he made it clear that Take-Two has no problem supporting Nintendo's hardware when it makes sense. Basically, they've worked with Nintendo for years, and as long as the platform can handle their games, they're on board. He also pointed out something interesting. People still think Nintendo is just for kids, but that's just not true anymore. According to him, those days are long gone. He brought up Civilization 7, which is coming to Switch as an example. So if a game like that can run on the system, what else is possible? Now, this obviously doesn't confirm anything about GTA 6 on Switch 2, but it does prove something important. Rockstar is making this game scalable. If Take-Two is even considering bringing it to a platform with PS4 level power, then there is absolutely no reason it shouldn't be running at 60 FPS on a PS5 Pro. The hardware difference is massive, and Rockstar is no stranger to optimizing their games across different systems. Take-Two is still saying GTA 6 is on track for fall 2025, even though there are always rumors about delays. But assuming that release window sticks, the real question is, will Rockstar give us 60 FPS on PS5, or are they gonna pull a Red Dead Redemption 2 and cap it at 30?
I don't think they've released a 60 FPS game that wasn't a remaster.
To me, this just proves that experts and grifters have no idea what they're talking about, and this 30 FPS BS drama just spread like wildfire. Yeah, Rockstar never released a game in 60 FPS unless remastered. Yeah, also Rockstar never released a game on current-gen consoles, and also never released a game in 4K. By this logic, you could say that GTA 6 will be 1080p even on PS5 Pro and on PC because they never released a game in higher resolution than Full HD. They also never released a game with ray tracing. Do you see how this argument of no 60 FPS falls apart? And let's not ignore scalability. This is the same Rockstar that's planning to put GTA 6 on the Switch 2. If they can scale the game down for that hardware, they can absolutely scale it up for the PS5 Pro and whatever Xbox has next. We already know that PlayStation's PSSR upscaling tech is a game changer, and GTA 6 is going to be a flagship title pushing that tech. If anything, Rockstar is in the perfect position to deliver a game that looks insane while still running at 60 FPS on high-end hardware. If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.